Are we live? We are live. What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? I'm sorry, journalist Urban Felix Sean here with the fitnessjournals.com, and today we have Vinique here, and she doesn't want to be on video right now because we're on the train, and she says she's shy. She doesn't like talking in front of people. So today we're doing a quick Q&A. The Q&A video that we're about to do is, Vinique, why are you shy? Go ahead and tell us.
Stop.
Okay, she doesn't like it at all. So I'm gonna answer the question, why am I shy? I'm not. So for her, we're gonna answer the reason why she's shy. She doesn't know, but the train is full. If I'm not gonna pan, but there's people all around us, and she used to be an actor, by the way. She was an actor, and it's confusing to me how like you're an actor and you should be like impromptu. But anyway, that is the video for today. Just joking. We're gonna continue after we get off the train. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe though.
3, 2, 1, go.
What is going on, journalist Urban Felix Sean with the fitnessjournals.com, and today y'all are in for a treat because welcome to the new series. I am going to be showing you guys how to go from novice, total novice, who never worked out before, to progressing into becoming a great calisthenics athlete. So this is here on my channel, completely free. I'm introducing you to this. So I'm going to give you guys plans. We're gonna go into detail further on in the video or in the series exactly how you can access that plan and follow along for the next couple weeks, and we're gonna get gains doing calisthenics. So welcome. If you're new here, make sure you like, share, and subscribe because look, you're in for a good journey. Welcome to your calisthenics journey. Even if you're not a beginner, I guarantee you, even if you follow these steps, you could become a better calisthenics athlete. So let's get into it. First thing first, I'm going to bring you into the steps that you need to be following in order to get started. So that's what we're going to be focusing on in this video today. Alright, so as a total beginner, what do you need to know? Number one, you need to know what level you're at. We're not going to get injured. That is the key that we're going to be avoiding here, is injury, especially for your first couple weeks. Well, in general, you want to avoid injury, but you definitely don't want to push yourself to the limit where you get injured and at the beginning of your journey. So first thing first, you need to assess what level are you at. Are you a beginner? Are you intermediate? Obviously, at this stage, if you're watching these series of videos, I'm going to assume that you're a beginner. So that is how we're going to treat every exercise that we're performing. So the key thing that we're going to be focusing on at this stage is structural balance, and that is why having the plan is important. Structural balance, we're hitting every muscle group from top to bottom. We're doing this the right way, so we're not going to come in and focus on like our favorite muscle group. What tends to happen is when people begin, they don't know what to do and they'll focus on one thing. So if they're good at push-ups, they're only focused on push-ups, which is a horizontal pushing movement, and they're not going to focus on any other planes of motion. So what I'm going to be explaining is the different planes of motion: vertical pulling, vertical pushing, horizontal pushing, horizontal pulling, hip dominant, knee dominant, rotational, and lateral movements. So I'm going to be showing you exercise for each of those. The plan, like I said, I'm going to explain to you just exactly how you're going to be able to get it, but when you're following that plan, that is how you're going to know exactly what you're doing throughout the week. You're not skipping anything. So let us begin. I'm going to show you the pulling movements. So horizontal pulling, horizontal pushing, vertical pushing, vertical pulling, hip dominant, knee dominant, core, which is rotational, lateral, and that is it. So let's get started. First thing first, I'm going to show you horizontal pushing, horizontal pulling. Horizontal pushing, I'm going to do the voiceover for each of these movements that I will be demonstrating in this video. So the key thing that we're always going to do, no matter what the exercise is, it could be basic, it could be advanced, we always start with the warm-up. Now, I will be the first to admit I don't always stick to this, but when I don't stick to it, I reap the bad consequences of getting injured. So number one, always warm up. So I'm going to give you guys a basic warm up, only body weight. So if you don't have equipment, if you don't have a jump rope, whatever it is, no bands, you can do a complete warm up with just your body weight. So let's get started right now. Now the question is, how long should the warm-up be? Really, it depends. So number one, the key way to know if you're warmed up, you should break out into a little sweat, and your muscles, the elasticity, contractility, these properties, these things should increase. So that's the goal. Sometimes if you're doing more of an intense workout, I want you guys to pay attention to the fact that I wasn't doing static stretching. As we're beginning, our goal is to do more dynamic stretching, and it decreases injury as well. We're not focusing on the static holding and pulling. That comes at the end of the workout. At the beginning, dynamic, doing more movement, focus on the actual movement patterns that you will be doing. So like I said, as you saw, the reaching, the tall reaching, getting low, these are all the different movements: hip dominant, knee dominant, rotational. As you saw when I was rotating, touching the toes, all these things, that's the movements you want to focus on at the beginning of your workout. So now we're going to get into actually the good stuff. Always begin with the basics. What I'm going to have you know is, look, people tend to listen to bro science or, oh, my friend said this. Stop listening to people who do not have credentials or any credibility to be giving you this type of information. Begin with the basics. Even as an advanced athlete, doing movements like this are also very important, the modifications. So as you see, this is the push-up, and our body's at an incline, so if you cannot perform a regular push-up, then of course perform it like that. So number one, what I want to have you do is, for every exercise that you do, perform at least 10 repetitions. That is the goal. Try and stick with the 10 repetitions if you are a total beginner, just to get your body adapted. Once again, we're not trying to overload the muscles or anything just like that. We're just trying to get familiar with the movement pattern. So as you see here, we just targeted the posterior chain by doing inverted rows. And now what you're going to see here is dips. So right now I'm just showing you more or less kind of the basic movements. So some of you might not even be able to do dips. Totally fine. There's modification for that. I'm just showing you once again the basic movements, the movement patterns: inverted row, horizontal, like I mentioned before, horizontal pushing, pulling, vertical pushing, pulling, knee dominant, hip dominant, rotational, lateral. And I do have a introduction to calisthenics series that you can also check out. So I actually break down all the steps, everything that you need to know to get the theory behind it. This is more of the action stuff that you see here. So the dips really target, once again, the triceps and chest, and this, what you see here, this modification of the inverted row, we're really working bicep as well as the posterior chain as well. So I'm showing you these movements to actually get you to understand how to work different muscle groups and the different movement patterns. So right now, as you would see over the screen, the type of movements that it is, this right here, you have vertical pulling. So we're targeting the posterior chain as well, developing those lats, teres major, teres minor. I'm gonna shy away from using all the, the names of the scientific names, just back. So that's targeting the back muscles. Now, as you see here, we're doing everything, full body. So these are box squats. So if you're not too keen with your form, you can't keep your balance, you're not too familiar with how to perform a proper squat, always begin it like this. Find a box or a surface like this where you can almost hit 90 degrees with the knee. It doesn't have to be exactly 90, but this is good enough. You start sitting just like how you would sit in the chair, 10 repetitions, just like you would do with every other exercise. So the box squat, now I'm showing you, this is the full squat, all the way through the full range of motion, at least 90 degrees with the ankle, with the knees, or a little bit lower. Right now, once again, we're not trying to go for a whole bunch of repetitions or anything crazy. We're just getting our body, our muscles familiar with these new, I'm assuming this is new because you're a beginner. So with these new type of pressures and resistance, we're using body weight, but you're still going to feel it, even though you're just doing body weight, especially if you have not worked out before. So now what we just did there was the quads. Now we are targeting the hamstrings and the glutes. So your buttocks, those muscles back there, this is called a glute bridge. So firing the hips, pushing those hips nice and high, and getting that squeeze at the top by squeezing your butt together. That's how you would execute that movement. And now you have here, of course, we're targeting core. This is the lateral movement. So if you don't have the balance or the strength to hold both your feet off the ground, as you see, unilateral, one by one, you're still targeting those abdominal muscles. So that is major. Of course, we're always breathing. I want to stress on that. That's why it's important that you guys, if you have not checked out the Introduction to Calisthenics series or program presentation, go ahead and check that out. It's very important so you understand the fundamentals. So as you see here, once again, this is targeting the glutes, hamstrings, more so gluteus medius. Like I said, I'm going to try to shy away from all those names, just so if you're a beginner, don't become intimidated by all the big words. You will learn those stuff as you go along, but this is essentially targeting your butt, your buttocks. That is the muscle that you're targeting there. So as you see, my foot is slightly turning out. I'm a little bit at the top of the movement. That is what I want you to do. 10 repetitions for everything. That is what you're gonna do, 10 repetitions for everything. And now we go back here to the core. Now this is more of the advanced variation that you would see to the one that we did previous to this, which was one leg at a time. Now we're using 2 legs, bilateral, targeting those abdominal muscles. This, you're going to learn this stuff as we go on, but this is targeting mainly the rectus abdominis, you know, those muscles that go up and down. So moving on to the next one here, rotational. As you see, once again, I'm showing you this modification as the more advanced one. If you cannot hold your balance, I'm going to show you a more simplified one, but you want to really make sure to get that rotational movement, structural balance. As a beginner, you don't want to get started off bad. You don't want to have compensations and all these muscle imbalances because you didn't take the time at the beginning to, you know, have a properly structured program and follow through properly. That is the purpose. So as you see here now, feet on the ground, this is that simpler modification to the one I just showed you here. Same thing, targeting the same muscles, a little bit less stability because you don't have your feet off the ground, but it is the same thing. And then you, of course, after a while, couple weeks, you would progress into the more advanced one. Try and take your feet off the ground or 1 foot at a time, just to progressively increase that resistance. So as you see, did from a different angle, really getting that rotation, reaching down a little bit lower with the hands to really get that rotational movement going on there. Now moving on to this next exercise here, these are calves, targeting the calves, of course, structural balance. So we're going from the top all the way down to the bottom, and that is what you're seeing right here, targeting the calves, getting high on the toes, staying there for a split second, and then coming down nice and controlled. So structural balance from the traps, neck, all the way down to the calves. And the last thing that we end here with is the cool down, the stretch. So once again, I'm not going to walk through the whole thing because it is a pretty long segment here. Just go ahead and follow along, but always end with the stretch, the cool down. Now at the end, as you see here, we're doing static stretches. So at the beginning, like I mentioned, you want to focus on doing more dynamic, not explosive, but more dynamic, more movement-based exercises, not holding the stretch for too long, kind of mimicking the specific type of exercise that you will be doing throughout the workout, and then at the end when you finish doing the static stretching. My favorite type of stretching is PNF stretching. PNF stretching stands for proprioceptive neuromuscular facilitation, which you will learn about more if you go through, you know, different courses and stuff that I have, or go through my videos here on YouTube where we talk about that in more detail. But that is the best type of stretching. It's basically assisted stretching. I would recommend, if you do want to do that, have a qualified professional perform it on you or show you how to do it on your own. It is a little bit, I wouldn't say it's challenging to do it on your own, but it is better if you have someone who's qualified to show you. So once again, this is static stretching, finishing the exercise, full body. Like I said, I'm not going to talk the whole way through, but go ahead and follow along. All you have to do is follow along exactly what I'm doing here, and you will be complete for that. The video is not done yet. Make sure you stick around to the end just for the closing remarks. And if you have not downloaded the program yet, go ahead and follow the instructions so you can download the program and continue on with this series. So if you're a beginner, once again, this is important for you. It is important that you go ahead and follow along. Don't get excited on first day, yeah, excited, and then it's gonna happen. There's gonna be people who fall off, but you're not gonna be that person. You wanna see the results, you wanna make change, so you're gonna stick around all the way to the end. It's gonna be challenging, but you wanna make sure that you get those results, and the only way to get the results is if you stick around. So yep, I could show you exactly what to do and all that stuff, but if you're not applying, if you're not keeping consistent, then there's going to be no change to be had. So that's what it is. Like I said, go ahead and stick around to the end of the video. Go ahead and do the stretch. And yes, this is day one, but if you want to do day one a couple of times, that's totally fine. If you want to do day one for a month, just so you get familiar and things like that, that's totally fine. So just keep that stuff in mind. Go ahead and complete this stretch routine and stick around for the closing credits. We're not done yet. All right, journalists, that concludes day one of this introductory to calisthenics program. So make sure, as you see, we started from beginning to end. We went through the warm-up, we went through the workout, nice and controlled, easy workouts. This is beginner. Don't try and rush yourself to injury. That is the point of being a beginner. You go through the necessary steps to learn what you need to learn in order to progress safe and easily. So that is it. Stay tuned for the next workout. This is the beginning. This is the beginning. Health is wealth, get money. Make sure if you have not invited a friend to participate with you, to make sure you stay accountable. Do that now, right now, right now. Pause the video, come back, and do that right now. I'll see you guys in the next video.